Welcome back to the Tesla Daily News Podcast. Today is Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. In the next few minutes, we're talking about the biggest Tesla headlines that could actually move the stock: semi-production timing, Europe sales momentum versus Volkswagen, a potential China-led safety rule that hits Tesla's design language, roadster signals, and the fast-moving humanoid robotics race. Story 1. Elon Musk says Tesla Semi goes into mass production this year. The hook here is simple. Tesla is again putting a concrete marker on a product investors have waited years to see scale. Context: the Semi matters less as a cool truck and more as a margin, manufacturing, and fleet decarbonization wedge. If Tesla can build semis efficiently, it opens a high-mileage, high-utilization customer base where total cost of ownership can win even when consumer EV demand gets choppy. Details: multiple reports cite Musk posting that mass production of the Tesla Semi begins in 2026. The commonly repeated spec in these pieces is a range of about 500 miles, roughly 805 kilometers, on a charge. Impact: for Tesla, the bull case is that Semi becomes a real revenue line rather than a perpetual prototype story, with potential downstream pull for charging infrastructure, service, and energy storage at depots. The bear case is execution risk. Ramping a new vehicle category can pressure capital expenditures and near-term gross margin if yields and costs aren't under control. Takeaway: watch for any hard evidence of volume, factory line throughput, customer delivery cadence, and whether Tesla discusses unit economics. Mass production only matters when it shows up as measurable deliveries. Story 2. Volkswagen takes Europe's EV sales crown as Tesla's regional sales fall. The hook: in Europe, Tesla is no longer the default leader in pure battery electric sales. Context: Europe is a key battleground because the market is growing, regulation supports electrification, and competition is intense. Losing share there can signal pricing pressure, product cycle fatigue, or brand and channel challenges. Details: coverage citing JADO Dynamics says European EV sales rose about 29% in 2025. Volkswagen's EV sales in Europe were reported at 274,278 units, up about 56% year over year, while Tesla was reported at 236,357, down about 27%. Impact: this is the kind of data point that can feed analyst narrative shifts from Tesla dominates globally to Tesla is now one of several large players. That can compress valuation multiples if investors conclude Tesla's auto growth is slowing structurally. On the flip side, Tesla still has levers: refresh cycles, pricing, incentives, and localized production to stabilize share, and Europe's overall EV expansion means the pie is bigger. Takeaway: for investors, the key isn't whether Tesla is number one in a single year, it's whether Tesla can protect margin while re-accelerating unit growth. If Tesla has to buy back share with price cuts, that's the risk to earnings power. Story 3. China moves to ban hidden door handles starting January 1st, 2027. Singapore is monitoring standards. The hook: a design feature that became synonymous with modern EV styling is now being framed as a safety hazard, and regulators are taking action. Context: flush or hidden door handles improve aerodynamics and styling, but emergency access after crashes, power loss, or icing can become complicated. This is exactly the kind of small design decision that can create outsized regulatory and PR risk. Details: Channel News Asia reports China will ban hidden car door handles from January 1st, 2027, citing safety concerns. Singapore's transport authorities say they are monitoring relevant standards, and they remind drivers to learn emergency mechanical release procedures. Impact: for Tesla, this matters because Tesla popularized flush handle aesthetics across parts of the lineup and influenced the broader EV industry. If China's rule becomes a template or spreads regionally, Tesla could face redesign costs, rehomologation work, and parts supply changes. The silver lining is timing. A 2027 effective date leaves room to engineer compliant solutions during refresh cycles. Takeaway: watch whether Tesla proactively updates hardware on future builds or adds clearer labeling and training in the software and delivery process. A regulatory issue becomes a stock issue when it forces costly redesigns or slows deliveries. Story 4. Tesla files new Roadster trademarks, reigniting the "is it finally coming" debate. The hook: after years of delays, Tesla is sending at least one real signal that the next-gen Roadster remains alive internally. Context: the Roadster probably won't be a big volume driver, but Halo products can influence brand perception, technology leadership, and demand across the lineup. Still, repeated delays can also harm credibility. Details: Turkish and Russian outlets report Tesla made 2 trademark filings connected to the Roadster name, one in standard text form and another as a graphical mark. Impact: Investors should treat this as a sentiment catalyst, not a revenue catalyst, unless Tesla pairs it with production plans, pricing, and a bill of materials story that doesn't wreck margins. In the near term, trademarks are cheap. Manufacturing a supercar at scale is not. Takeaway. The tradable question is whether Tesla uses Roadster as a platform to showcase next-gen battery tech, motors, or software features that later migrate to high-volume products like Model 3 and Model Y. Story 5. Humanoid robots are industrializing fast, and China is pushing hard. The hook. The humanoid race is shifting from stage demos to early industrialization, and the competitive field is widening. Context. Tesla's longer-term valuation debate increasingly includes non-auto upside, especially Optimus. If investors believe humanoids become a large market, Tesla's multiple can stay elevated. But if rivals scale faster, Tesla's optionality premium can shrink. Details. PYMNTS, citing reporting, says China has more than 140 companies in the humanoid robotics field and is moving toward producing at scale. Meanwhile, multiple outlets highlight Xpeng's humanoid robot Iron, along with a very public stumble during a mall showcase. Impact. The stumble is a reminder that demos can mislead both ways. A fall doesn't mean failure. It means the industry is still early. The investment point is competitive intensity. More companies, more capital, and faster iteration could pressure Tesla to spend more on R&D, partnerships, and manufacturing before the category contributes meaningful revenue. Takeaway. For Tesla watchers, the question is not who has the coolest prototype. It's who can build reliable units cheaply, train models safely, and deploy them into real workflows where customers will pay recurring fees. Story 6. A legal overhang story. New lawsuit tied to a fatal crash and fire. The hook. Litigation risk remains part of the Tesla story, and it can hit both financials and perception. Context. With a massive fleet on the road and heightened scrutiny around safety and driver assistance, Tesla faces periodic lawsuits that can amplify reputational risk, especially when the allegations involve post-crash fire and occupant escape. Details. A Hungarian outlet reports a new civil lawsuit in the United States after a fatal crash in Massachusetts involving a 20-year-old man, Samuel Tremblett, in October 2025. Impact. Single cases rarely move the stock by themselves, but clusters of lawsuits can affect insurance costs, regulatory scrutiny, and settlement reserves. They can also shape consumer trust, which matters when Tesla is competing on brand, not just specs. Takeaway. Investors should separate headlines from systemic risk. Watch for patterns, official investigations, and any changes in Tesla's disclosures around safety and claims. Let's wrap it up. Today's big themes for Tesla are execution and regulation. Tesla is once again promising a real product ramp with Semi in 2026, while Europe competition is tightening with Volkswagen taking the sales lead, and potential safety standards, like the China door handle ban, could force design changes. Meanwhile, Roadster trademarks add a small halo product pulse, and the humanoid robot race is clearly heating up globally. For tomorrow, keep an eye on any follow-up details from Tesla on semi-production location and volumes, and watch for additional regulatory signals in Asia and Europe that could affect hardware design and homologation. If you found this useful, subscribe to Tesla Daily News podcast for your daily, investor-focused Tesla roundup, and follow us for the next update.